a direct link to the young people. And it felt that there is necessity to do that. So they went to universities and they rolled out, in 2013, they rolled out a topic, a thematic topic on integration. So young people at university would write on that topic, and then the 6 best are chosen, and then you go to one of the member states in the East African community. I think Uganda, we've hosted one of such events at the International University of East Africa before. So when you go there, then you debate on that similar topic. And the best debaters then are crowned the East African Community Youth Ambassador, the ambassador and the deputy. So today I'm the ambassador. At the time I became ambassador, I was a student at Chambogo University, and my deputy is Her Excellence Awino Masi. She goes to Makerere University. Yes.
So Your Excellency, you're most welcome to the studios. And there now, I know our viewer, you understand the person I'm hosting, who is, that is the Youth Ambassador, the East African Community for Uganda. Segawa, you're most welcome. Now let's begin with this whole issue of East African Community. To many people, it seems far away from the youth. Yet actually the biggest target of all these, the 3 pillars, that is the Monetary Union, Customs Union, Common Markets, then also the Political Federation, all are aiming at the future generation within the East African community. As the ambassador, how have you interested the youth into issues of integration within the East African community?
Yes, I think it is important to note that yes, the community is not yet appreciated to a level that we would love by the young people. And I appreciate, for example, the role the Fourth Estate is playing. Having me here is playing a very good role towards achieving what we intend, having the buy-in of the young people. But what we are trying to do is, for example, we, as ambassador, I'm charged with popularizing the idea of the integration. But most importantly, I am charged with letting young people know the opportunities that are there in the integration, in the forthcoming, but even presently, what is there and how can young people benefit from it. So the first is we put out a lot of word about the integration. There is a lot of information about integration out there, but how to access that information, and when you access it, how to understand that information has proven problematic over the years. And that is where, as young leaders, we come in. That we know the audience, the target audience, we know ourselves, we know what information we shall appreciate. So that's what we are trying to do, to try and get that information from the level and complexity that it is at, to bring it down to the young people of East Africa. So that even if you have gone to school or you have not gone to school, you can understand the intention of the community and you can appreciate it.
Let's begin with opportunities, because we know youth are very inquisitive. All they want is they're looking out for opportunities. Yes. What are some of these opportunities that for both the elite and also we look at those in the informal sector when it comes to this integration?
Yes, so I think it is important to note that we cannot bastardize the idea of community, I mean opportunities, that we cannot address youth in a vacuum because they are part of the grander idea of the region, of the country, if you come to national level. And therefore, there are very many opportunities. For example, under the ESC pillars, we have the common market, and it is achieving drastic goals in its implementation. That we have more fluidity, we have lesser tariffs when you're crossing borders to trade. And I think that is something that young people, if, for example, you've gone to the borders, have tried to exploit. But again, not to levels that we would expect, because we have very many entrepreneurial young people in the region. But you find that not very many of them know of these opportunities. Not very many young people know that I can openly go to Kenya, to Tanzania, to Rwanda, and work there without exactly having problems of securing work permits and all, because of the provisions of the region. I think it is important that that information is let out there. The second opportunity is, you know, we have the Inter-University Council of East Africa, and it is here in Uganda. And that is a big opportunity for foreign students within the region studying in different countries. If for example, I'm sure you know that we have very many East African students in the Ugandan infrastructure of education. And we have had a lot of work towards a policy to accommodate these students as local students, through how much they pay, and through easing their transit at borders, both airports and land borders. So I think those are some of the opportunities that are there, and we encourage young people to take advantage of.
Let's look at how young people have been positioned, or they have positioned themselves to take advantage of this. You know, one of the things with integration is when people in member states sometimes believe that their opportunities are being taken over because of the opening up. We've had these regular sayings that where you have one Kenyan, you need 3 Ugandans and all that. We've had where sometimes we think we've opened up so much that you go to a telecommunication sector, you go to hotels, services, and this may be dominated so much by other member state residents taking over. So how have you as an ambassador, when it comes to Uganda, either pushed for or guided the youth in Uganda to take advantage of these, so that we avoid sometimes these clashes that come as a result of some people believing that they opened up so much and they aren't benefiting from this?
Yes, I think the reason we have clashes on the onset, in principle, is because of lack of information. That very many people are not open to the idea of the community and the opportunities it presents. And that is one thing that we are working as young people, as the ambassador and the people I work with, to try and fight. The beauty of this region is that we have a very important, a beautiful thing across the countries, is that we have political will. But speaking of Uganda here, we have...
Do we really have political
Yes,
will?
we do.
When we have borders, Segawa, we're having borders that we cannot have the free movement of people, free movement of goods, free movement of labor, and all this.
Yes, the presence of political will does not mean that there are not going to be hiccups. There are not going to be points where we need improvement. That doesn't mean we don't have, but the mere fact that all these governments have accepted to, for example, set aside a ministry to champion integration, to set about a budget towards that intention, because you know how the secretariat runs, is that governments feed into it, both with human resource and budget resources. So I think that that is commendable political will. The other thing is, of course, we have those nitty-gritties that we need to iron out at a political level. Of course, those can't be discussed here because way above the pay grade. But personally, I'm very optimistic that those will be ironed out, because the agenda of the integration is to benefit everyone. No one is on the losing side. So that's one. The second thing, and this is very important, I'll keep saying it, is that we are lacking so much information about this community out there. And that is the main challenge. For Uganda's case, we are very happy. I think for the last 3 ministers we've had, they have been extreme Pan-Africanists. We had the Right Honorable Chirunda Chivei Jinja.
Yes,
then we had we had Honorable Tafire, and then we have the Right Honorable Rebecca Kadaga. And from their character, these are Pan-Africanists. These are people who are all for integration, for unity of Africa and the region. And that is a good thing for the ministry. Also, the people who work at the ministry are very supportive, and they have bought into the idea of the integration. Now that is something we need to scale up, so that the citizens have as much interest in this integration as the people, probably the people we have fronted to champion it.
What is our comparative advantage in the region, where you have Burundi, you have Kenya, you have Tanzania, you have Rwanda, you have Uganda? As Uganda, where do we compete in such a time? Because different having opportunities and being positioned, or having something that you have as a milestone over the rest in terms of this?
Well, we know that we are an agro-based economy, and we pride ourselves in that. Therefore, you find that we literally mostly feed the region, which is a good thing. That means that our farmers will always have a constant output, a constant market present there. So for the few, again, glitches that we have in the system, again, those can be ironed out through mutual talk, through bettering standards and agreement. But as an agro-based economy, Uganda, I think we have that market, and we have dominated it. You will find that different countries provide differently. You have said, for example, Kenya will tell you that they are more service providers in fin technology in the region. And it is not specific to Uganda. Everywhere you go, you'll find a Kenyan invested in financial technology. Not that other countries are not, but that is a hegemony they have over the rest of us. So every country has a strategic advantage over the other, depending on their strength. But at the end of the day, it is a win-win for everyone, because you get to present people with what you do best. And that is the intention of the integration, that everyone should benefit. And you know, when we open up, the president has always reiterated that it is very productive on very many levels, that we are too small to front an agenda as countries, but when we come as a conglomerate, then we can stand even against these Western powers that may sometimes come with so much funny influences. But the real intention is to benefit the young people in the community. Of course, it is not all beauty out there. I think there are big challenges that young people are facing and that need immediate redress.
When we talk about the East African community, more so we are looking at the economic bit of it. And we know that not everybody will be able maybe to benefit from the economic aspect of this integration. Let's look at other aspects that really matter so much, more so when it comes to the youth in terms of this integration.
Well, the integration has pillars. It has the customs union, it has the common market, it has the political federation. You know? And the intention is so that we communicate as one, right? And that is where everything else gets interconnected. That all opportunities, in whichever shape they come in, when you live in the same region with the same freedoms, you are bound to benefit from them, right? That today, very many people are not learnt, but because they are in Uganda that has the Makereres, the Chambogos of these days, they have benefited from those who have learned at one stage or another. So sometimes you cannot explicitly point out that these are the benefits of the people of this particular sector, but because we are moving into the integration, it inherently provides opportunities for these people. Whether you are crediting them or not, the opportunities are there.
One of the other challenges that is facing the East African integration is the slow pace at which we are achieving these pillars. Yes, one will talk about the common market, that fairly we've gotten there, but when we come to the political federation, monetary union, we still see that deadlines being set. We're always having extensions and extensions. And we feel maybe this also in one way or the other is derailing the actual intentions and purposes of this integration.
I share the similar concern with you, that we are not going as fast as we would have loved to. At least as young people, would have preferred that we move really fast. Because when we look on paper and when we see what is there to benefit for us, the current generation that needs to be benefiting, they are very good things, but when you look at the implementation, we are a little challenged. And that is a big call we make to our leaders, that kindly address all the political challenges that there are, so that we can achieve the goal. That is a big challenge, I agree with you. But also, I think we should give credit where it's due. I think processes, even for the political federation, have started. For example, in Uganda, we are having consultations for the constitution of the confederation, of the East African community. And I think that is a stage that is commendable. Because
well, as by now we had agreed we should have gotten to that.
Yes. But we've had, again, I've told you there are very many challenges, most of them political, but I think we are overcoming step by step. We are going at a pace that we are not comfortable with, and we beseech leaders to try and push for more speed for that. But we also acknowledge the benefits that are happening.
One of the areas we can at least jubilate is the common markets. But also we want to look at, there is so much we have on paper, and it all looks rosy, it all looks good if at all it's implemented. But still there are hiccups. Now when we look at free movement of people, we still have some challenge that in some areas free movement of people is not as it is. Actually, one was saying that when it comes to the East African community, it is that Uganda loves more to push for this, and we agree with the visionary leader of Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Of course, we might say, when you look at the forefathers of this, after the collapse of the previous East African community, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni is one of those still living and are in power compared to other counterparts that left power or somehow already gone. So we look at that in Uganda, there's free movement of people. We look at goods, persons that you have in Uganda, right of establishment, right of residence, free movement of services, free movement of capital and all this. But when we go to some of our sister or brother states in this is not actually being implemented to the latter as it is in Uganda. Do you feel that we're opening up so much as a country, yet others maybe are still a bit stingy or a bit not that all surrendering to the community as we are doing as a nation?
First of all, I think it is important to point out that it is never a bad thing to take leadership. It's never. So if Uganda is taking leadership, it's a good thing. But I also want to offer clarity that your statement is not entirely true. We do have some fluidity in movement. For example, I can use my national ID to go to Rwanda, to go to Kenya. All right? It is still a challenge with Tanzania, but that is also being addressed. And then I am also happy, for example, as a person, I have had the opportunity to use both the airport and the land borders for the same intentions, to see how much, how easily people move, mostly young people. Because last year, as youth ambassadors, we were concerned about the porous borders and how young people are being trafficked. But you will learn that, for example, when you go there and someone is asked for probably a document that they don't need, they openly tell you, in East Africa, we do not need this.
Yes, that I agree. I've seen that at one airport.
Yes, and I think that that is a good thing, yeah, that now people are trying to embrace, people are getting interest, taking interest, and seeing the benefits of being a region. On the issue of implementation, again, I think we go back to people who yield this power. And I request them that when you ascend to these documents, I think it is only fair that you also fast track the implementation of the same. But so far about movement and about living, yes, Uganda is doing a very good thing, but the same case can be said for very many other East African countries. There are only a few. I've mentioned Tanzania that still necessitates other member states to have movement permits or passports, but I think that is also on the verge of getting erased, because recently President Suluhu Samia was expressing her big intentions for unity for Tanzania, and specifically for integration, for regional integration. You know, they have a benefit of falling between SADC and the EAC. And I think that her leadership is going to see that we achieve more of the intentions of the East African community.
Looking at the East African community, that is improving the quality of life of the people in this integration. Most of now, we are focusing at the youth. When we have in studio, that is the youth ambassador Uganda to the East African community, that is Segawa, with whom I'm in the studios. And we're trying to see, yes, there are advantages. How best can we position ourselves to tap in these opportunities? Because this is the vision of His Excellency and other presidents that share the same vision of the integration. That yes, we have a big population, this provides big markets, but how best we position ourselves? It's different from an opportunity being there and you positioning yourself to tap into this opportunity. Well, I'll go for a break, and when we return, we'll continue with this discussion. Please stay with us, return very shortly.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
For understanding this model. Hey, excuse me, lady. Who do you think you are? A queen?
Hey, haven't you heard? Get Airtel Chillax bundles and browse like a queen.
Get Airtel Chillax bundles that do not expire and browse like a queen or king. Dial *175# or use My Airtel app.
Airtel, the smartphone network. What does it mean to be closer together? It's taking the last bus home for a surprise visit. Closer together is strangers finding a connection. It's bringing home something much more than a box. It's the warmth of home, or the beginning of something new. There's magic in sharing the things that we love. Because it's those things that bring us close together.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field couldn't be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite show.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Welcome back from that commercial break. Thank you for keeping it on UBC TV. It is Good Morning Uganda Extra, and we are looking at how best we can improve the quality of lives of people within the East African community or integration. And I'm hosting, that is the youth ambassador to the East African community, that is Uganda's youth ambassador Segawa, that is Seistin, with whom we are discussing some of the issues regarding this integration. And of course, we know that this is one of the areas that we are sure, if we perfect it, if we have all the pillars in place, then this will not only boost Uganda as a country, but the region. And also in terms of military strength, the economic part of it, there are so many benefits if we come together as a community, and of course even better bargaining when it comes to other groupings from different parts of the world. We have the SADC, we have the EU, most people know the United States of America, where a couple of states came together and now formed one solid state that has become a superpower over time because of numbers and opportunities that are there in the power of unity. Once again, I'm Robert Chirabo, sitting in for my colleague Jagenda Semakula. Well, now let's look at the Secretariat. The docket that you as the youth ambassador, what are some of the works you've done? What are some of the projects you've done that really the youth should know that are there and they can take advantage of these?
Well, I will speak for the East African Community Youth Ambassadors Platform, and this is a platform of both serving ambassadors and former ambassadors, that when your term of office runs out, which is usually not more than a year, you join the platform, so you start supporting the incoming ambassadors, and that is how we grow the platform. So as a platform, we deliver as one with the youth leadership program. It is called the ULEAD program. It has its secretariat in Arusha, but it has been offering guidance and leadership, just like the East African Community Youth Ambassadors Platform, to young people of Africa, but of East Africa, but for it, its mandate broadens to go out to Africa. And some of the things that we deliver as one are the Youth Leadership Summit. It's called the ULEAD Summit. It is the apex of summits of young leaders and young people in East Africa. We usually had it is usually in Arusha. It is hosted at the Secretariat of the EAC, but ever since Corona came in, we have tried to adapt to the ways of life. So we now host it as a hybrid. Some people are physically at the Secretariat, but majority of the young people are attending virtually. And we shall have the ULEAD Summit this year too, ULEAD 21. If you go to your Twitter, if you go to your Facebook, just search for the East African Community Youth Ambassadors Platform, or search for One Young Africa, or search for ULEAD, hashtag ULEAD 21, and for the young people out there. And then you will also learn how you can be part of this summit of young people. The intention of the summit is to bring young people, regardless of academic level, of which discipline of life you have, closer to the policy makers. And the intention is that young people have to interrogate what the Secretariat is doing, what the ministries of East African Community are doing for them in order to benefit them at the larger scheme. So I think it is important, and one of the things we do. The other thing, as and before I go away from the summit takes 3 pillars: youth in politics, youth in business, and then youth in peace and security. So you will find that we have very many of the alumni of, for example, of youth in politics that have taken up leadership positions. The current National Youth Council chairperson of Uganda, Honorable Jacob Eyeru, he was once a youth ambassador for the East African Community, which is a good thing, because I was looking at his manifesto when he was running, and the pillar of integration of the EAC was key, and it was a message he was preaching to the young people. And then we have, for example, Honorable Lilian Abe. She's also an alumni of the summit. She's now a member of parliament. So even in Kenya, even in Tanzania, we have alumni of the summit taking up leadership positions in mainstream politics, which is a good thing. When you come to business, we have very many young people who have attended the summit, and because they are focused on business, we usually have a breakout session where we have professionals in business come and mentor them. And we have had them climb in marvelous strides in their ventures of business. So we think that the summit, the Youth Leadership Summit, has been a very big value addition to young people.
It's a kind of opportunities.
Yes, for everyone. So youth in peace and security, because we now have South Sudan as a member state, we are also interrogating that pillar on how youth can play a bigger role. But that is not unique to South Sudan, because, for example, in Uganda we had an election. One cannot say it was very peaceful, and we know that it was the youth that were driving those voices that some people might call a little violent, others might call enthusiastic and patriotic, depending on which side of the aisle you stand. But for example, next year in Kenya we are having their general election, and we need to ensure that young people are the drivers of peace. Yes, you interrogate democracy and its pillars, but in a peaceful way.
I love that. Yes. The young people being pillars of peace. Most times young people have been criticized for not using much of the brain or reasoning, and they use more of the energies because they're full of energies. Automatically the energies sometimes come out more, and also there have been where politicians have taken advantage of them to exploit them, because you don't see the old in violence, you only see the youth. So I'm very passionate and love that element of peace and security when it comes to young people within the East African region, because violence has dominated most of our politics, we must confess, within this region. It seems every election must end with a few lives lost.
Yes, and that is a trend that is regrettable. It should never be like that, and we are trying to ensure that we bring it to 0 lives lost out of political violence. We hope to achieve that in the Kenyan election. We are organizing a couple of pre-election activities. So about the East African Community Youth Ambassadors, of course, we always join the observer mission of the East African Community to always give the perspective of youth, the lens of youth, how are youth viewing this election, and then we make recommendations that then go to the Secretariat and to the relevant Council of Ministers. At national level, we always roll out a regional program, but we domesticate it like it should be for the integration. Last year, in the middle of the pandemic, we did a couple of things, but because there was that restraint of physical meeting, we felt that border communities were so much affected by this pandemic. Initially, you know, we had issues with truck drivers, and also we went out and had a very big outreach. It was also hybrid, and the nature of the outreach is that we went to experts in government and were asking them questions that people want to know, mostly people at the border. And then we tried to translate these messages. Like I told you, we are trying to have information to a level people understand and in the language they do. So we ran a lot of advocacy work on that level in all borders.
What was your method of getting to the people?
We used local radio stations. Yeah. So that's why I told you that the Fourth Estate plays a very major role, mostly in information dissemination. That propaganda and the funny information will travel very fast on social media, but the critical information can mostly be disseminated by the fourth estate, by the media, and that is what mainstream media, and that is why it is important that we engage you people. So what we did is we went to local radio stations in these districts and villages, and that is where we were sending that information through. And then now, for example, we are concerned about how the community, like I told you, the East African community needs to be people-centered for it to achieve its agenda. The community is seemingly forgetting that there are other things that matter in our lives apart from protecting ourselves from the coronavirus. For example, in Uganda, numbers are scary, coming from upcountry, of how many girls have been defiled. So we are hoping to also interrogate the sexual reproductive health and rights of young people, mostly the girl child, and also see how what exactly is the problem and how can we address it. Are we lacking information? Are we lacking implementation of the laws that are already there, so that we can also see how to advocate for some of these things?
Well, that is Sebastian, with whom we're discussing, and this is the Youth Ambassador to the East African community that is representing Uganda, His Excellency Sebastian Segawa, with me this morning, and we are trying to understand more how the youth can benefit from this East African integration, where we believe there are so many opportunities, but the big question is, how have we positioned ourselves to tap into these opportunities? Because we know we're in a couple of countries, about 6 in number, that are there. But how does a Ugandan youth position themselves out of this lot of competition? We all compete for the jobs, we all compete for the markets. Yes, we must say, as a country, we have comparative advantage when it comes to the agricultural sector, but equally other countries maybe also do have where they are competing. So how do we best get this? Segawa, in the interest of time, I want to have your final remarks when it comes to the youth positioning themselves to benefit from the integration.
All right. So speaking to fellow young people, it is usually a story that we tell. We are always asking for what governments are doing for us, what our community is doing for us. But I think for us to demand things of government, we also need to look into ourselves. What skill do you have, and how much have you worked towards polishing it? I think it's important. And for example, now that we are in lockdown, it is a very good opportunity for people, for example, who have access to internet, to try and grow some of the skills. But even when you're a farmer, regardless of the skill you have, I think as a young person you need to strive to grow what you think you can do best, so that when an opportunity arises, you are the best option, and they have no other opportunity but to choose you over anyone. They have no choice. Yes. In conclusion, I want to say that at a regional level, we are trying to compile, to make consultations to compile the East African Community Youth Agenda, one that should be able to give some sense of direction to our leaders and drive the agenda of integration from the young people's perspective. And I encourage all young people out there that when the call is made, we shall disseminate this call on our Twitter and Facebook pages. Please hit the call and be part of the consultations, so that we can have as many voices and as many ideas as we can.
Well, one wise man once told me that previously the youth would say, we are the leaders of tomorrow. Today they are saying, we are the leaders of today.
Yes.
But how best you position yourselves to be the leaders of today? That is a question we leave with you. Opportunities are so many in this integration, but it is you to position yourself to tap best in these opportunities. Let's promote this, and we urge the leaders that as they push for the monetary union, for the political federation, let them always have the youth at the forefront and issues that affect them, because it is factual that the population within these East African member states, majority, the highest are the youth, which should be the focal point for everything that we plan to move this integration forward. For God and my country, stay safe. Remember, COVID is around, and please do not be like the Ndiwulira, that maize weevil, which was told, please vacate, please have your mask on. I think I'll put on my mask when I have a person I know that is suffering from COVID-19. Please sanitize. It kept on giving excuses, and it was cooked along with the maize. COVID is real. Please, let's perfect the soaps. They're simple, they're easy, but they save you the inconvenience, the finances, and finally, sometimes you're lucky enough, death. Have a lovely day. See you tomorrow, same time, God willing.
BBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
COVID-19 kijja kugwa. If we get vaccinated now,